What if I told you that 72% of early retirees overpay for healthcare because they don't understand this one government program? The secret isn't in your portfolio size, it's in how you report your income. Hey friends, I'm Jason. My wife Darvi and I retired at 39 with a $1 million portfolio. We now spend 6 months a year traveling the world while I'm paying $0 for full healthcare coverage through Medicaid. And today, I'm revealing exactly how I pulled this off legally. I bet you didn't know that 78 million Americans leverage Medicaid for healthcare coverage, including early retirees who understand MAGI optimization strategies. You may also be shocked to learn that with proper planning, even millionaire retirees can legally qualify for $0 premium coverage in 41 states. Now, before we dive in, if you're serious about retiring 10 or even 20 years earlier with $0 healthcare costs, hit that subscribe button now. What I'm about to reveal could save you $15,000 a year or more. See, here's the brutal truth. Your 401k balance means nothing to Medicaid. What matters is controlling one number, your MAGI, or your modified adjusted gross income. Now, before you go any further, let me bust the biggest myth right up front. This isn't some sketchy loophole. See, Medicaid expansion was built right into the Affordable Care Act. It's there to help adults making less than 138% of the poverty line, which is $21,597 a year for a single person in 2025. And here's the wild part. 41 states plus DC have signed on to this program. The only holdouts, well, 10 states mostly down south. Now, why does this matter for early retirees? Because in those expansion states, Medicaid doesn't care about your assets. Seriously, your $1 million portfolio, it doesn't matter. That second home at the lake also doesn't matter. All they look at is your modified adjusted gross income. And here's an important fact. It's figured out month to month, not just once a year. And that's a game changer if you're living off of investments. So let's break it down with a quick example. If you sell $10,000 of your stock in January, your MAGI for that month is, well, $10,000. That's way over the limit. But if you pull out $1,800 a month from your Roth contributions, that counts as $0 towards your MAGI. Suddenly, you're under the threshold every single month. This isn't bending the rules, it's exactly how the IRS and Medicaid set it up. When it comes to early retirement, or just retirement in general, where you live makes a huge difference. That's certainly true when you're talking about Medicaid. In Texas, for example, they still use old asset tests, so your whole portfolio could disqualify you. But cross the border into New Mexico, and your investments don't count, just your monthly income does. My wife Darvi and I, we choose to keep living here in Indiana. Our healthcare costs, which could be tens of thousands of dollars a year in a state like Georgia, they remain at zero here. And if you're wondering, is this really legal? Absolutely. See, the folks who wrote the rules, they made it this way. Responsible savers are actually rewarded in this system. Your job and my job is to use the rules that they gave us. Just like you follow the rules to take child tax credits, retirement account contribution deductions, business expense deductions, mortgage interest deductions, maybe you've even benefited from unemployment benefits. This is no different. So if you're over 40 and thinking about early retirement, don't just ask, when can I quit? Ask, where should I live? If you get that part right, you could save yourself easily $15,000 a year or more, tax-free. All right, so now you know that where you live can make or break your healthcare cost in retirement. But here's where things really get interesting. How you handle your income is just as important. And trust me, you don't want to miss the last strategy that I'm about to share because it's a total game changer for most people. They never even heard about it. So let's talk about how to actually keep your MAGI, the number Medicaid actually cares about, crazy low, even if you're sitting on a big portfolio. First off, if you're still bringing in some earned income, like from a side gig or part-time work, say you're Coast fired or barista fired, you can stash a chunk of that into pre-tax retirement account. I'm talking about things like a traditional IRA or a 401k if your employer still offers one. For 2025, you can put in up to $7,000 or $8,000 if you're over 50 into your IRA. Depending on your situation, you might even get a tax deduction, which is a nice bonus. Another trick that a lot of people use is tax loss harvesting. Basically, if you've got some investments that lost money, you can use those losses to cancel out your gains. and even knock a little off your regular income. You can take up to $3,000 in losses against ordinary income each year. And if you have more, it just rolls forward. It's one of those sneaky little moves that adds up over time. Now, Roth conversions, these are great for the long haul, but you have to be careful. Every dollar you convert shows up in your MAGI for that year. So don't go overboard and accidentally disqualify yourself from Medicaid. But here's a cool thing. If you are pulling money from your Roth IRA, your contributions and qualified earnings don't count towards MAGI at all, as long as you're over 59 and a half and your account is at least 5 years old. It's like invisible income, which obviously is very handy. And if you're thinking of taking some gains, there's a sweet spot for that too. In 2025, you can realize up to $94,050 in long-term capital gains if you're married, or $47,025 if you're single, and pay 0% tax on it. As long as you keep your overall income in check, you can take advantage of this without blowing up your MAGI. There are even more little hacks, like if you've got after-tax contributions or you're selling investments, you can pull out your original principal tax-free. Oh, and here's another fun one. Did you know that you can rent out your home for up to 14 days a year and that income is totally tax-free? It's true. The IRS doesn't even want to know about it, and it doesn't touch your MAGI. Now, if you really want to keep things tight, focus on investments that don't pay a lot of dividends or interest. Growth-focused ETFs are great for this, and municipal bonds usually pay interest that's totally tax-free and doesn't count towards your MAGI in most cases. But here's another real secret weapon, the one most nobody talks about. If you've got your own business, even if it's just selling stuff on eBay, flipping used items at your garage, have an online business, or run a small consulting gig, you can open a solo 401k. This is what I do with my online affiliate marketing business. Sure, it doesn't make a ton, but I shove almost every dollar from it into that solo 401k, which keeps my MAGI super low. What's so special about the solo 401k is the super high contribution limits. In 2025, you can put away up to $69,000 if you play your cards right. That's way more than a regular IRA. That's a massive lever for keeping your income, on paper, as low as possible. If this YouTube channel ever makes any money, you better believe it's going into its own solo 401k. Now, what if I told you there's a hidden IRS rule that lets you basically double your MAGI reduction? Seriously, this last strategy is so powerful that most CPAs don't even know about it. I certainly never heard of it. In fact, I discovered this while doing research for this video. It's called the Charitable Remainder Trust Hack. Here's how it works in plain English. Let's say you've got some stock that's gone up in value quite a bit. Instead of selling it and getting slammed with capital gains taxes, you donate it to a Charitable Remainder Trust, CRT. Right away, you get a big tax deduction, and the trust can sell those stocks without paying capital gains tax. That's a double win. But here's what gets even better. The CRT pays you a steady income every year, usually between 5% and 9% of the trust value for the rest of your life, or for a set number of years. And the best part, those payments don't count towards your MAGI for Medicaid. So you're getting income without bumping yourself over the limit. Now, this isn't a DIY weekend project. CRTs are complicated and they're not cheap to set up. Think a few $1,000, sometimes a lot more, plus ongoing fees. You'll definitely want to work with an estate planning attorney and a tax pro to get it right. But if you're charitably minded and looking for a way to turn appreciated assets into lifetime income while slashing your MAGI, this could be a total game changer. All right, so let me give you a real life example with our situation. Our portfolio is over $1 million, and I still qualify for Medicaid here in Indiana. The key? We keep our expenses low, under $1,300 a month. I did a whole video on this if you want the nitty and gritty. I'll leave a link down below. We don't need a big income to live well, so it's easy for me to stay under the MAGI limit. We pay bills straight from our brokerage account. No emergency fund sitting in a savings account for us. We keep our cash in SGov, which is a short-term government bond ETF. It pays a solid monthly dividend that's better than most high-yield savings accounts. When we need cash, we sell a little bit of SGov. And since the price only changes a few pennies depending on the day, there's essentially no gains or losses to report. If a real emergency hits, we've got credit cards, and we can always pull from our Roth IRA contributions penalty-free. And like I said, most of the money from my online business goes right into that solo 401k. That's how we keep our MAGI low, our healthcare free, and our lifestyle exactly how we want it. This is how you work the system, by being smart, knowing the rules, and using every tool that they give you. Of course, we need to talk about some important warnings and things to keep in mind before you consider applying for Medicaid. First, most states look at your MAGI on a month-to-month basis, not just once a year. That means if you ever have a month where your income jumps over the limit, you're supposed to report it right away. In fact, I actually ran into this once myself. One month my income went over because I sold an asset with a long-term capital gain. So I called the state and they told me that as long as it was a one-time thing, like an inheritance or a big capital gain, that they wouldn't kick me off the system. But to be clear, this was during the COVID emergency where states were being extra flexible and not dropping anybody from Medicaid. Things might be stricter now, so always be upfront and report any changes as soon as they happen. Some states even require you to do it within 10 days. It's also important to know that each state sets its own Medicaid income limits. See, the federal government sets the guideline, usually 138% of the federal poverty line, but your state might have a different cutoff. So what qualifies you in one state may not work in another. So always double check your state's rules before making any big moves. And lastly, if your finances are complicated, maybe you have a big portfolio, a business, maybe you're thinking about trust, it's smart to get help from a CPA, financial advisor, or even a certified Medicaid planner. These folks know the ins and outs of Medicaid rules and can help avoid big mistakes and make sure that you're not disqualifying yourself with the wrong kind of income or paperwork. The rules can get tricky and a good advisor will help you keep everything above board. Bottom line, stay honest with the state, know your state's specific rules, and don't be afraid to get professional help if things get complicated. That's how you keep your healthcare and peace of mind intact. As you can see, playing by the rules and planning ahead can give you the freedom and healthcare security that you need for early retirement. Before you go, if you're curious about what early retirement really looks like in practice, how we make it work, travel the world, and stay healthy without breaking the bank, you'll definitely want to watch our video about how we actually live this life with $1 million. I'll leave a link down below. And hey, if you want more real talk about early retirement, living life on your own terms, don't forget to subscribe before you go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you over there.